Hey, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for all the beautiful messages, emails, fun comments, and support. Slowly, this channel is growing, which is great. I have a lot of crazy ideas that I'm working on at the same time. I'm preparing and filming for a lot of videos. One of the things that I'm gonna start doing pretty frequently is tell you about the work that I actually do, because the work I do actually ends up being released all the time. So I'm gonna catch up with some of the more fun work that I've done recently, going back a little while, to give you an update. I also have Spotify playlist. I think it's called Tom Denander Works. If you search my name on Spotify, you'll find it. Where everything that I've done that I can find on Spotify, I put it on one playlist. So please, if you want, follow that list as well. It's a good way of keeping track of my own work for me. And so I'm gonna tell you about a bunch of stuff that I've done recently. It shows you how busy me and other student musicians still are, despite being 2020 and the pandemic and all of this crap we're going through. And it's for me personally, this year has actually meant more work than normally, because all my touring friends are home and they want to record, so they need my help more than usually. So for me, it's been good despite being a really bad year. So I'll start off with Robert Hart, one of my favorite singers, who actually did one bonus track on the Radioactive Legacy box that I did. Robert is an amazing singer, fantastic guy. He was with Bad Company before, and last year's he's been singing for Manfred Mann's Earth Band. Fantastic singer, fantastic, just beautiful soul altogether. And I had the honor of co-producing and co-writing and also playing guitars, keyboards, and a bunch of other stuff on his latest album on Escape Music called Pure. It was released on vinyl and CD, and of course digital. Very, very cool album that got fantastic reviews. Definitely, I hope you will check that one out. The next one is the new Overland album called Scandalous, also out on vinyl, which I dig, CD and digital. Steve Overland and me have co-written a lot of songs. I mean, I think it's somewhere between 10 or 15 albums for other people and for his own projects, and combined projects like Ozone that he did with Chris Ozzy. We wrote most of Robert Hart's album, and we write really well together. And I was really happy when he said that he didn't want to do a typical 80s kind of rock album like a lot of the stuff we do. He wanted to go more somewhere between Doobie Brothers and the bluesy side of Gary Moore, which made me very happy, as both styles, both artists, bands, very close to my heart. The fantastic Brian Tishy plays drums on it. In my opinion, one of the greatest drummers around today. Album is in many places considered one of the best albums of this year, which is a big honor. Both me and Steve Overland feel it's maybe some of the best work we ever did. So I hope you check out his new album, Scandalous. It's also on Escape Music. I've done a lot of work for many years with James Christian and Robin Beck on their solo albums, and with James on I think it's 6 albums now with House of Lords, the legendary rock band. And their new album called New World has one song that I co-wrote called $5 of Gasoline. Really cool song. I think it's me, James Christian, and Mark Spyro wrote the song together. It's out on Frontiers. Great band, fantastic singer, James Christian. So that one I'm really happy with. Happy to still be working. I co-write, and I usually play a little bit as a guest on the songs that I co-write for them. Next up is a Norwegian band, a really good band called Stoneflower. Their album is called Finally, and I do a guest solo on a song called The Devil Never Cries. I've done a million of these guest solos, and I'm more and more picky as time goes by with what I play on. But this band is fantastic. If you're a fan of Toto and those classic 80s bands, you're gonna love this band. Top reviews everywhere. Really, really good band. I think it's out on AOR Heaven, if I remember correctly. The next album is one of the most amazing ones, one of the ones that I'm most proud of in my whole career. The legendary Hollywood Vampires second album called Rise, with, of course, Alice Cooper and Johnny Depp, Joe Perry and Tommy Hendrickson. Tommy and Johnny really put this album together. Like, they were the core of writing it and producing it together. Tommy Hendrickson did a fantastic job on this album. Really shows the talent of this incredible human. So there's a song called Welcome to Bushwhackers, I think the title is. It was actually started as a song for Alice Cooper's last real studio album, Paranormal, that I was co-producer and co-writer for. And it almost made it to that album, and then it ended up being recorded for Hollywood Vampires. Came out really, really cool, and the most amazing part is that they managed to get the alien, the legend of legends, Jeff Beck, to play guitar on the song. So it's me, Johnny Depp, I think Joe Perry also plays a little, and Jeff Beck playing on this song. I also ended up doing a lot of keyboards, overdubs, some guitars and other stuff on a song called Mr. Spider, which is, in my opinion, one of the greatest songs Alice Cooper has sang since the 70s. It just sounds like an epic early 70s Alice Cooper song. The album it blew up around the world. It just did so well. Got fantastic reviews. Very honored to be involved. And the song that I co-wrote, Bushwhackers, was also performed live on a lot of the tours that they did. So very proud of that album. The next album is actually a band from Hungary called Stardust. Their album is called Highway to Heartbreak. Top reviews everywhere. People seem to absolutely love this band. It's pure 80s melodic rock that I've done a lot of, and of course I love. And I co-wrote 2 of the songs. I think maybe it was the first or the second single, called Runaway. And that's even a video on YouTube. If you search for Stardust and Runaway, you'll find that one. And the other song was called Hey Mother. Both songs came out really, really good. The whole band is great. The singer is fantastic. The guitar player they have is one of the greatest younger talents I've heard. Mind-blowing talent. So check them out. They're on Frontiers. The next one is a single that goes back a couple of years, but I want to include it anyway because it's just to bring you up to date of some of the work I've done lately. Legendary pop star Umberto Tozzi in Italy, one of their big icons down there. He had a global mega hit called Ti Amo that's been re-recorded and covered and just done a million times over the years. At the time, I was just starting to work with another major pop star, Anastacia, on her album. And the idea of her and Umberto doing a new version of this song, Ti Amo, came up. So I ended up working on recording some of the vocals, editing vocals and stuff on it, and also doing the guitars on it. And that single became a new hit again, and featured all over Europe in a lot of cool ways. So you should check that out for sure. It's also on Spotify in a lot of places. And speaking of Anastacia, I worked with her at the big studio I was working in before I moved everything home around the time that my daughter was being born about 5 years ago. Anastacia has always been one of my favorite artists since day one. I mean, nobody sounds like her, and she still sounds the same, and she sings as great as she ever did. So she came to our studio to write and record the whole album, and we co-wrote a bunch of songs, and then they changed the direction a little bit. So one of the songs called Pain ended up on the album, a song that I co-wrote, that I also play guitar on. Came out really, really good. Album's really good. Fantastic artist, and one of the nicest of the big stars I've ever worked with. It's like fantastic person. So I hope you check that one out as well. A few years ago, I had the amazing honor of writing and producing original Kansas singer Steve Walsh last album. He says it's the last album of his career. And the album called Black Butterfly came out really good and got also fantastic reviews. We co-wrote the album, and it's one of those very proud moments in my life. And on that album, we decided to bring in an additional singer to do sort of duets on a couple of songs with Steve, and Khalil from Escape Music found this guy, Jerome Mazza, who is by far one of the finest voices I've heard in many, many, many years. So I ended up doing his solo album after that, co-producing, co-writing, and playing everything. And he had a band even before we started this called Pinnacle Point. I think they did one album that got rave reviews. Very, very progressive rock, very Kansas, totally into that style. So when they were working on the new album, I had the honor of co-writing one of the longer songs I've done in my life. I think it's about 8 minutes long, called So Alive. And I play keyboards and guitars and a bunch of stuff on it. Very, very cool song. Very, very cool album. Seems to be a top album for a lot of people around the world. And it was, again, released by Escape Music. So please check that one out. I think it's a very cool album. And speaking of Escape Music, we've worked so close together for, 25 years or something like that. And the owner of the company had this idea of doing re-recordings of 40-year-old songs that he loved growing up. And we started doing a few of these songs under the name of Turkish Delight, with Chris Ozzy singing the first one. There's one out on Spotify called The Year 2000. And I play almost all the instruments and everything on this. We've done a bunch of songs, and after that he started bringing in more singers, and it's a project that's ongoing. It's gonna be pretty cool, but it's very different from stuff that I normally do, and I'm pretty happy with it. It's kind of hard to go back to those sort of Arabic tones and a little different ideas of arranging and scales and stuff. So it's a challenge, but it was fun doing that one and the other songs. I think there's only one right now on Spotify. And many years ago, actually, I was in Nashville working quite often. And there was this guy that we co-wrote some songs with. He was beyond talented. He was a fantastic human, and just one of the most gifted people I ever met. His name was Randall Clay, and sort of almost a cult figure around Nashville. Wrote some hits later on for people and worked with a lot of great people. Sadly, passed away, I think a couple of years ago now. But while we were there working, he recorded almost a full solo album with a bunch of great people. And I was very, very honored to be part of playing guitar on most of these songs. And there's one song officially released that I know of called Kill Devil Hills. That's on Spotify. I think there are other songs on SoundCloud or something like that. So search for Randall Clay. But this is some of the greatest music I've been involved with in my whole life. It's so honest and so deep, and the way that he sings, it just stops time. It's something I really hope you go and check this out. In the last year or so, I've done a bunch of work with a Swedish friend of mine, Fredrik, and his project Bright Shining Light. That's the band name, the project name he uses. I think we've done something like 8 or 9 singles in the last year or something. We're constantly working on songs for him and for other artists. Super talented songwriter and just one of those guys who's so passionate about learning the real craft of what we do, the real art, the real work behind everything we do. So all of his songs are on Spotify under the band name Bright Shining Light, and on my Spotify playlist you can see all the ones that I worked on. I think one of the last ones we did was a pretty cool cover of the band Hailstorm and their song Love Bites, So Do I. And that was fun to do. I mean, it's really modern metal, but we do soul, we do R&B, we do pop and John Mayerish kind of stuff. It's really cool, and I think it's a song so hauntingly beautiful. I think the name is. It's got some of my favorite guitar work that I've done lately. It's his music just fits me really well when we work. I have a lot of fun doing those. And after this, it's my German friend Marty Punch. Really great guy, talented, super cool guy to work with. I played on his latest album called Walk a Straight Line, including the single that was actually a song that I played on, Zakopane, which is a place in Poland, and that song became a radio hit in several places, stayed #1 for a long time. And together with him, I've been working on his new album that's almost done musically. We're putting all the last pieces together. It feels really good. And one of the songs that we've been working on has been sung by a lot of people, and it ended up being done by the legendary Robert Tepper, who sang one of the big hits from the Rocky movies. There's No Easy Way Out, I think, the Easy Way Out, something like that the song title is. So that one is going to be released as a single. I think there are plans for maybe a movie with it, so stay tuned for press releases about that. One of my very dearest friends, oldest friends, Lars Chris from the band Lionshare, since the mid-'80s, we've been like best buddies. Enormously talented, great songwriter, guitar player, mixing guy. He mixes for a lot of people. If you need somebody to mix really good, he's the guy to hire. I worked with him over the years a little bit on his band Lionshare, on a few of their albums. And the singer in his band, Nils Patrik Johansson, released a soul album recently called The Great Conspiracy. It's about the whole killing of the Swedish Prime Minister, Olof Palme. So it's like a theme album about that, and it's a really cool album. Again, released on vinyl, which is always cool. And there's a song called Prime Evil. And what they did is that they added, because of the story of Olof Palme, if Olof went somewhere in the world, they added musical parts that sort of represent that. So if you hear a really odd twist in the music in that song, that whole section was done by me, and it's really cool. Definitely an album you need to check out. The same with Lionshare. They just released a new single yesterday, Friday, when I'm recording this. Very cool band, so check them out. The next was a single by this great female artist called Dana Rexx, called Time Flies, that I played on. And what I often do when I do sessions is that I add a lot more than people ask for. So they have choices. I add anything that pops up in my head, I will add it, so they have the choice of picking and doing all of this. And it's happened a few times over the years that they liked all the guitar parts so much that they actually do a special guitar version, a remix version. And that happened with this song. So there is, even on Spotify and all these places, there is a guitar version of the song Time Flies. So came out really cool. You should check that out. Next up is a Swedish artist, a very, very dear friend of mine for many years, Kaj Pousar. I produced his first solo album called Livet, Life. It's in Swedish, very 3-chord, pure rock and roll, really cool stuff. I toured with him a lot, played often with him. And he's got these kind of songs where people sing along everywhere. They just know his songs. So we kept doing a bunch of singles and recorded over the years. And he just released. We talked about what he should do because he tried some different styles, and we both agreed that he should go back more to that kind of rock that he did on the first album. So his new single, it's called Min Hemstad, meaning my hometown, was just released. Again, it's out on digital platforms everywhere. Very, very cool, and one of my favorite people to work with. And I have this sort of company I've been running for a couple of years. I love working with people. I have no ego when it comes to with who I work with, or I don't charge stupid amounts of money for anything. This is my job. I just love working with music, and I offer my services to people for whatever budget they can afford. So I started this company called Platinum Demos, where basically no matter if you're like pure amateur or if you're a pro or whatever it is, you can hire me for about $250, 250 euros. And I will take your demo that you might have recorded on your iPhone on a badly tuned acoustic guitar, and I will produce a whole track of it, send it to you so you can do vocals and whatever. Once you're done with that, you send it back and I mix it and do all of this. So these demos, I've had more than 100 clients in the last 2 years doing this for a lot of songs. Several of them have ended up getting record deals, and a lot of these songs are released everywhere. The demos basically are album quality. So it's a pretty insane deal. For that kind of money, you actually get pretty much an album production of one song. And I have a deal if you want to do more songs and this and that. So I get a lot of cool people contacting me about this. And this great guy Mike sent me an email from the States and had his song. So we tried a song and it came out great. And we ended up co-writing and working on 5 songs together, where I play guitar and some other stuff. They just released that EP. It's on YouTube, on Spotify, and all the typical digital platforms. And they're called Outside the Flow, and the album is called You're Burning My Halo. 5 songs. It's kind of metal, but kind of melodic metal, and came out really, really good. I actually just listened to it this morning again, and it's pretty cool stuff. I play most of the guitars on it, not alone on it, but most of the guitars. And the last one I want to bring up now, I'm going to do this often because almost every week I have new releases. So the coming videos will be much shorter. It will basically be about the new release. It might be 1 or 2 or 3 things coming out. But it's kind of cool to keep you updated on what I actually do in my studio during the days. So the last one, it's by a German friend of mine, and we actually recorded this many years ago. It took a long time to get it done. It was released during the last 1 or 2 years on vinyl, both the EP and then a single, and it's called Brunky Music. And the first one was called Live It Up. I think that was the EP. And then they released another single called Moments of LA. It features my dear friend Alex Ligetward, the singer from Santana that I've toured with. Just one of the greatest voices ever. Legendary Santana singer. David Garfield, keyboard player for the Charisma, Los Lobotomies, George Benson, this and that. Mad talent. It's A-list, top-level studio musician, songwriter. Louis Conte, percussion, played with Toto and everyone on the planet. Sam Porcaro, the son, who's actually taken up bass, and which is amazing. Rick Latham, great drummer, and a bunch of other people. If you're into like pure West Coast music, more of the old school Toto, David Foster, and that kind of stuff, very high quality stuff. So this is just an update to sort of tell you what I've been working on. I'm gonna do special videos about some of the coolest albums that I worked on, like Paul Stanley's whole album Live to Win. I'm working on a bigger video about Alice Cooper's Paranormal and some of the other work we did together. Working with Deep Purple, all the years I worked on my Radioactive project together with the Toto guys. I have so many videos from these recordings, private pictures that nobody's seen before. So there's going to be a lot of stuff like this as well, and I'm just working on a bunch of videos. And of course, Mondays we have Lick of the Week, and more stuff coming. So thanks for watching, thanks for listening, thanks for all the messages and lovely vibes. And I'll see you soon. And don't forget to subscribe and hit that button and the bell and everything, so we can build this page together. See you soon. Bye.